it has been a while, so let me explain what this video is if you are new. I used to do a little mini-series, I say mini-series, but it went on for a year. I used to do a series called Time to Grow, and basically in that, I documented for a year my process of trying to recover from an eating disorder and body dysmorphia, and also put on some muscle. It has now been 2 years. When I was doing this series, I was doing 12-week updates for the entire first year of like physique updates, how I was feeling, how the eating disorder recovery was going, everything like that. And I haven't done one since the year mark, and it's now the 2-year mark. So we're gonna do an update. First up, I just want to say that this isn't going to be, if you've been around since then, thank you. But this isn't going to be like the old ones, because my mindset has continuously grown, and I'm not going to sit here and nitpick and go over all the details. I'm going to go over the majority of the details, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. So it's going to be brief, and I am going to include my pictures. I don't want to call them like before and afters. Progress pictures is probably like the best way to describe it, but even then I wouldn't call it just like progress. I'd just call it, this is just like an update picture of how my body looks. That isn't to be like, this is before and this is after and this is how I'm looking and this is how I've done good and this is what I'm enjoying. I don't mean it like that. I'm just going to show them as to be like, this is what my body looks like after 2 years of eating whatever I want, and this is going to be very kind of like body positive and not critical of myself. Obviously there might be a few critiques because I did have the aim of putting on muscle, but this isn't going to be overly critical because of how my recovery's gone. So I'm going to get onto that, but I'm going to really quickly talk about why I did Time to Grow in the first place. And that was, again, like I've just said, to document my recovery and things like that. And originally it was a way of kind of like holding myself accountable so that I didn't try to lose weight because I was very much in and out of weight loss phases, successfully, unsuccessfully, because I had an eating disorder. But I did lose weight and then try to do a weight gain phase, maybe gain like 3 kilos, then get scared and then go back on a weight loss phase. So it started as a way of trying to hold myself accountable that I wasn't gonna just chuck myself back on a weight loss phase of my life. And the reason I kind of stopped doing them as much is mainly just because people didn't seem to be enjoying them. The views on my Time to Grow series were very, very low. All of my fitness content was kind of low. I mean, my editing wasn't great, so that probably had to do with it, but I just wasn't getting the views from it or the feedback about it. And I know YouTube is not all about that. I get that. I get that some of you wanted to watch it, but when I am at such a small channel and I'm trying to grow my channel in a way that I'm trying to make this my job, it was just a lot of effort for no kind of return. So that's why I stopped doing it. Obviously, fitness is a huge part of my life. I'm a personal trainer, so it never went away, the progress. It just kind of, I just didn't document it as much. I've stopped posting about fitness just in general on this channel for all the reasons that I've just said. So it's still been all going on in the background. It's just, I haven't been videoing it. Now, I have got pictures and videos of what my body is looking like now. I was going to put them at the beginning of this because I know that's what a lot of viewers want to see, but it doesn't make sense out of context of me not telling you what like this last year has been. So I'm going to chat about how this last year has been, how my recovery is going, things like that, and then I'll do the pictures in the video at the end. If you want to skip all this, you want to skip me chatting, fine. I'm a little bit hurt, but fine, go skip, I don't care, just go. But if you're sticking around, we're going to do an update. So eating disorder and body dysmorphia recovery. Let's chat about that first. Eating disorder wise, I definitely feel like I am recovered. Like, that's done. I'm having issues with food currently, and in the past year, a lot. Not from an eating disorder perspective, from an autism perspective. I don't think I've really talked around autism and my eating disorder because I wasn't talking about my autism when I was talking about my eating disorder, but they definitely went together and fucked with each other. Autism has a huge plate in food, and basically just the past year has been really, really difficult eating from an autism perspective rather than an ED perspective. I am very much eating what I want. I don't feel any guilt around that. I'm not unnecessarily restricting. I'm not using exercise as a way of burning calories. I'm not obsessing over my steps. all the good stuff. I'm not doing any of the unhealthy stuff anymore. I have more to say about that, but I can't, I'll get onto it. Body dysmorphia is still up and down. I don't know how I'm meant to recover from this. I definitely feel like I need help with it. I said that in the last one as well, but getting therapy currently is just off the table. And I don't know personally if it's just something that I'm just gonna have to deal with. And the thing is, like, my BD still goes up and down, but the negative thoughts around it are getting better. So I still don't feel like I understand how my body looks. Some days my body looks completely different to literally the next day. So that couldn't have been that much of a change. It even happens within the day. I look completely different in the gym as to what I do at home. Not just lighting, like my body looks different. But I don't really have the negative thoughts that I used to with it. I haven't cried at all this year over my body. I'm pretty confident. And I'm feeling fine with how I look. So it's still there, but it's definitely manageable. Nutrition wise, like I say, food has been difficult this year. I'm only just starting to come out of the end of it, where basically the thing that I'm struggling with is that I seem to have gone off all of my safe foods, so I just don't want to eat. Not in a way of that I'm trying to not have any calories or to lose weight, just that I don't want the food, I don't want to eat it. I've gone off my favourite foods. Pizza was always a safe food for me. I'm bored of it. And this has come because I haven't restricted at all. I've had a lot of my favourite foods over the past 2 years, a lot. So I'm just bored. And my ADHD has went, we're not eating that anymore. So then my autism's like, so we're not eating anything anymore. So I'm not gonna lie, nutrition hasn't been great in terms of protein, which is the main factor. I don't really care about calories. I don't really care about what I'm eating. It's the protein that is the main thing that I still want to kind of not control, but just boost it a little bit. And I just haven't been getting enough because I just haven't been eating well whatsoever. But I've still been getting enough calories into my body. I know that because of my physique. I'm eating enough. That's all that matters. I just wish it had been a little bit better. And now that I'm coming out of it, because I've been in autistic burnout for a lot of this past year, so that's definitely played a part. But now that I'm coming out of burnout, I am trying to eat better, and I feel like I'm kind of on my way now, going back to eating disorder stuff, to finally trying to find a balanced kind of way of eating and making sure I'm eating my vegetables and making sure I'm eating my protein. And I'm really prepared to take that on now, where I wasn't in burnout. I was just kind of like, eat whatever I can when I was in that. And from an ED perspective, I finally feel like where I'm at that point where there is that balance. And I don't mean that I have been over consuming or binge eating. I've just been eating what I want when I wanted, and we've been getting a lot of takeaways. We've been eating whatever we wanted. And again, like I say, I'm not going to call that like binging or over consuming, because it wasn't huge amounts. It was just like eating until I was full and then I was done, or like getting second helpings, or ordering a huge meal if I wanted a huge meal. And I feel like I'm kind of getting to the end of that phase where I'm like, I don't need to order that huge meal because I know that I'm not going to feel great after it. And just kind of getting into a more balanced way. And I'm trying to phrase this in a way of not saying that that phase of eating whatever I want was unhealthy, because it wasn't. I'm so pleased that I've had that, because I think that is the only way that I've healed my eating disorder. The only way that I have gotten out of the restriction and binging cycle, or not even binging, because there's the clinical definition of binging and then there's just what everybody uses as binging, but I don't mean clinical because I never binged like that, but wanting to eat as much of something that I could. I don't have that desire at all anymore, and I genuinely believe that doing no restrictions on myself is the only thing that has helped me. So I am so glad that I've went through that phase where I've ate whatever I wanted, not cared about how I was like feeling health-wise, but just not really prioritized that. Because now I feel like I'm at a position mentally where I can start prioritizing like the health side of things without going back into ED things. Because when I was height of eating disorder, I was eating so much veg. I was healthy in terms, if you looked at it in a way of like how much veg you're eating, how many steps are you doing, how much water are you eating, how much fiber are you eating. I was healthy. I wasn't, but I was. So now that I've had the non-restriction, non-prioritizing health for like a year, but in a safe way. I just feel like now my brain's like, okay, we can start planning and feel like we can start to eat healthier, and by that I mean like vegetables, fiber, things like that, without feeling like you're restricting yourself. So yeah, I feel like my nutrition's it's on the way up. I just need to fight with my autism rather than my eating disorder. We're gonna do a training update and then we're gonna talk about my weight gain. So training update. I am at the healthiest I've been with training in a while now. It's been a bit up and down over this past year, mainly because I fell out of love with my gym. I have not been enjoying my gym recently. It has been dirty. I've talked about it on other videos. I haven't been enjoying the gym that I'm at, and because I'm in Northumberland, there aren't that many options. So I've stopped going as much because I don't like it, because the people, this has gotten tons better now, but it was for the past year really hard to train with the people who were at the same gym as me, because I couldn't get onto any of the equipment. It's a tiny gym. They weren't being very respectful about it. There was a lot of issues that I've had. So that's affected my training loads, but that's solved itself now. So I'm hoping it's going to be on the way up. But my training, I feel like it's gotten better quality. Like every time I do a new plan and I'm doing my sessions, I'm like, this is the best training plan I've ever done. Like I just started a new training plan this last week and I'm like, this is brilliant. This is the best one I've ever done. And I've been really focusing on making sure I feel muscles that I've been lacking on in the gym, and that feels so much better. So like my upper glutes and my lower traps are something that have just never worked. I've not been able to get them working at all. And in the past 6 months, I've got it, so that just feels great. Strength-wise, because I've focused on those things, I have gone down a bit. At the beginning of the year, I was getting, my goals for this year was a 100 kilo squat and a chin up. I was getting close to that at the beginning of the year. I think I got 90 kilos for 5, but I reset my PB to try and get depth again, to try and get my upper glutes and my glutes doing actually some work in squats. So I'm looking about 75. I can still do my 100 kilo deadlift. I tried that the other week, absolutely buzzing. My overhead press has gotten way heavier. Like everything is improving, and just with better quality, which I'm over the moon about. So before we get onto the pictures, I have, like, if you haven't seen my body recently, it's like since that last update, I have put on weight. And I know that was kind of the point of all this, but I've put on more weight in the past year than I put on in the first year, which I didn't expect whatsoever. I only know it for sure because obviously, like I say, BD, but I only know it for sure because sporadically I've weighed myself, not in an unhealthy way, just in a way of being like, I wonder what I weigh. And I've put on more weight in the last year than I did in the first year, which I think shows that I've been more lax about my eating. My recovery has gotten better because I've been eating what I want, so that means I've been eating more of it, so I've put on more weight. I don't think any of it is muscle. Maybe a little bit in my glutes, a little bit in my quads, but it's not a huge amount, and I'm not that mad about it. I can see that there's fat went on everywhere, so everywhere looks bigger, but it's not muscle, I can tell. But you never know, I could be wrong, and I'm gonna show you the pictures again, not to go over and critique my body, because there is no need for that. We don't need to critique our body, but just for people who are scared to eat mainly, like if you are starting your recovery or have been in your recovery for a while and still not exactly feeling like you're completely unrestricting yourself, you can eat what you want and you're gonna be fine. Like I'm gonna show you these pictures and I tell you, I've been eating so much food and not consistently training either. So it's not like I haven't put on a huge amount of weight. I wouldn't say I'm fat. I'm probably now like a size 14 and I started this at a size 10, I think. Peak eating disorder, I was a 6 or an 8, probably a 6. So I've probably, how many sizes is that? 8, 10, 12, 14. I've went up 4 sizes since eating disorder, which is really healthy. It just shows how my recovery is going. So let's look at the pictures. I have done a comparison of the very first pictures and then a comparison of this time last year as well. And I would say as well, I'm only doing this because I know that I'm fine with looking at it. I went into this being like, if I haven't done what I wanted to do, which was obviously build muscle, that's fine. And if I go into this and the pictures I look way bigger than I did last year, that's gonna be fine. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you don't feel like you can do that without being negative about yourself. You don't need to put yourself in that situation. So also don't look at mine if you feel like you're not going to be able to overlook the fat phobia and stuff like that, because obviously I have gained weight. That's kind of the point of all this. But if you feel like you can't look at these pictures without being like, oh, she looked better beforehand, maybe don't look, maybe work on it a little bit more first. So let's start off with the pose that I used to do in everything, and that is the front on view. So you can see the difference. I was freaking tiny in that left picture. Looking at these now, it just shows me how bad my BD was. When I was the person on the left, in my head, I looked like what I look like on the right, or even bigger than that. And I'm tiny. Like, look at my legs. My arms, like, I'm so skinny. Obviously, I'd still, like, this is the thing, I struggle with knowing how to describe myself now, because I am a size 14. Obviously, I am tall, so that means that I don't look like what shorter size 14s look like, but I am a size 14. But from that picture, I think I'd still describe myself as skinny, but I don't know if I can because I'm a size 14, but that's still the BD going into it. So obviously, because this is the 2 year ago, you can probably see the biggest difference. If I now move on to the 1 year difference, you can see I kind of look similar, but just there's less definition, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't changed shape really, I've just lost the definition that I had, like, in my tummy. I think my legs have definitely grown, like the inwards part of my thigh, because I think that's where all my fat stores, like that part of my leg has grown, but I've lost like the definition around my quads and stuff, which I'm fine with. But that's the difference from this time last year. Oh, also this time last year I had just been to Egypt, so I am tanned. Doing these, one thing I have learned is I might start tanning again because I am pale. Right, let's move on to the booty. So, relaxed side view. I think you can see that it's grown. I'm going to show you another picture of my booty, like a different angle, and I'm going to say the same then, but I think my upper glutes have finally started working because it looks like that's where they've grown. Obviously there's going to be more fat there as well, but I don't think I store that much on my bum because, as you can see, it's kind of a similar shape, and I feel like if more fat had went on my bum, I feel like it would be a different shape. But I do feel like it's grown. This is a rubbish angle for my quads because my quads have definitely grown, but they don't look like it here. If we move on to this time last year, again, I think the only place you can really see a difference is my tummy and my upper glutes. But yeah, going on to the posed view of my glutes, I think you can see that they've gotten bigger, and also my quads have grown as well. I think from this picture it looks a similar shape but bigger, but then if I go on to this time last year, I think this is me being really like picky, because obviously these are me, you guys might not even be able to see it, but I think I can see that the upper glutes have grown because my bum doesn't look as pointy anymore. Like, if you look at the shape from last year, there's more of a point, whereas this year it's a bit more round. So I'm kidding myself into believing that upper glutes are finally putting the work in. Then we're going to go on to my kind of like side-ish view where I'm tensing my bicep. This one, it isn't from exactly 2 years ago because I didn't do this pose at the beginning, but this is from October of that year. So kind of like we're coming up to 2 years-ish. The obvious differences in this one is obviously my tummy is bigger. The definition, like I said, from the side of my tummy is gone. My arms kind of still look the same, maybe a tiny bit bigger, but I think it's my bicep that's bigger, if anything, but not a huge amount of difference. And then if we go to this time last year, pretty similar, but I think maybe you can see a bit of a growth in my delts, which is exciting. I am in a little bit of a different pose, which is freaking annoying on my part, but I think there is a little bit of growth in my delts. And again, just that loss of definition in my tummy. One of the real things we should be talking about is how I have the exact same underwear still. Why is that a thing? I genuinely was like, I don't have these underwear anymore because I've had to throw out a lot of clothes. I'll come on to that in a second. But I've had to get rid of a lot of clothes, and I was like, I don't have these underwear anymore. And I did. And I just fit into them, but I fit into them. Look at that continuity. I think we should all be very impressed. One thing that I don't include in these pictures, which I think is something to talk about me changing, is my face has changed quite a lot. I've had somebody comment and say that my face looks a bit puffy and unhealthy at the minute, which might be. I do get I have so much jaw tension. So I could be a bit puffier than what I actually would be. But my face has put on weight. It's gonna. I was freaking tiny from when I first started creating content on here. So my face has changed. I'm very Up and down with my face is probably the only place that I struggle with still in terms of it looking different, but I'm getting there. Right, now I'm going to show you a video of how I look. I used to include this in the updates. This is mainly just because, you know, photos don't really give you a good view of how a body's actually looking. You don't see the muscles moving, you don't see the fat moving, but I just like the idea of it just being a bit more like realistic and what you'd expect to see of someone's body. So I'm going to do an update on the video as well. The hair is up in a bun because I got sweaty trying to get myself in the same position that I've got myself the last few years. I'm hot, so the hair is up in a messy bun. Anyway, here we are. Stomach, I'm trying to go through the same way that I did last year, so stomach, delts, still nout, then coming up to the side. We're a little bit more zoomed in this year because I've got the new camera and it's got stabilization, but that's where we're looking at the side. Then this side, then we've got glutes, and that's them relaxed from that side, and then if I squeeze them, they're back up where they need to be. Then we'll do a pose. I can only pose on this side, so that's all we're getting. That is them pose. I haven't posed in a really long time. I feel like they're looking quite good. Yeah, boy. Try to put my underwear to where they were last year. And then we've got big squeeze on them. Ugh. Then quads. I feel like I can pose my quads a little bit better. Oakley's having a fight with the door. Then last time. Let's see if I can do it. They're growing. They're getting there. There's like my thighs now touch together, which I do not care about, but it shows like the fat on my quads is going here rather than like here, which is pretty standard, but I definitely feel like there's some growth on them there. That's them kind of like from my height looking a little bit bigger, and then from the side definitely growing more on the front. I think I struggle to grow my quads on the side, so a lot more comes from the front. Then let's try and balance you again, and we'll do my back. Yeah, this is where we are. I'm excited to see this footage because I feel like I've got a huge imbalance currently, so I'm excited to see where we're at. So yeah, that's where we're at. This is how I'm looking. Not that it means anything, but yeah, we're done. And then I can show you from a bit more like unflattering angles. So this is it, and then if we go for a close-up on the tummy, this is how, and then let's get these down, shall we? With my little bee. It's so beautiful. But yeah, that's where we're at. Back to Sarah. I overall feel really good about it. I'm not focusing on my body anywhere near as much as I used to. I don't take pictures of my body as much anymore. And that's not because I'm ashamed of it. It's just because I just don't prioritize looking at my body anymore. And I feel like that's where real body neutrality comes into it. Clothes and how I fit in clothes tends to be way more important for me now. That's been the hardest thing over the last year, and that's not fitting into my clothes anymore, and it's mainly because I've mentioned it on the channel, but I don't have an income currently, so I can't easily replace it. I think if I had money and I had an income, it wouldn't have been as big of an issue because I could just buy more clothes that I love, whereas I can't currently. So that's been the hardest thing. But I think once I start slowly building up my wardrobe again and finding pieces that I love, I'm gonna feel fine in my clothes. Like, I got a really beautiful oversized t-shirt dress and I feel incredible in it. I love this jumpsuit that I'm wearing. I feel great in this. So honestly, it just comes down with how I feel in my clothes now, and that's down to the clothes, not to what your body looks like. So that is my 2-year update. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on it, please let me know. I can make more videos like this, but like I say, it never used to perform well. But if you have any video requests surrounding it, more than happy to make one. Please make sure to leave the video a like and a comment and subscribe if you are new. It really helps me grow my channel, and then I can buy clothes that fit me. But even if you don't do any of that, thank you so much for watching. I shall hopefully see you in another video. Bye.